Opening tip is won by Ole Miss. Rebels in white start on offense. McFarland's pass nearly sails out of bounds. And an opening air ball by Fallaroo.
Renee Ladner talked about the fact that they need to hit shots and see that maybe had a bit of a hangover after that Mississippi State game where they struggled to find the basket.
Anne-Marie Armstrong gets the first bucket for Georgia. They shot 26%, Robin, from the floor against Mississippi State. Were 3 of 20 on their three-pointers. They simply lost that game to Mississippi State because they did not hit open shots.
And that's what they're going to need to do today. They're going to have to be comfortable and confident on the perimeter. We talked about the fact that Nikki Bird will draw a crowd defensively. So those guards for the Rebels are going to have to find a way to put the ball in the hole.
There's Nikki Bird, who's got 12 double-doubles this season, 17 on her career. Averaging nearly twice as many points and twice as many rebounds as she did as a junior. Trouble getting it inbounds, nearly a 5-second violation.
Ole Miss against that staunch Georgia defense. They get out, really put the pressure on, especially on the ball handlers. And with a thin bench, Andy really wants to be able to pressure in the half court as much as possible and force those turnovers.
Marborough with the turnover for Ole Miss as she dribbled the ball on the baseline. Meredith Mitchell running the point for Georgia here with Jasmine James sidelined with that knee injury. This will be her 4th complete game that she has missed.
A nice strong move by Jasmine Hassel on the inside. She's one of the team leaders in scoring overall, 2nd in the SEC league play in scoring. Does a great job of getting the ball to the inside. Georgia very active in this 2-3 zone, hands up. They're going to gamble a little bit. They're going to go after those cross-court passes over the top.
Valencia McFarland hits the runner. You see McFarland wearing a brace on that right shoulder, tweaked her shoulder in the victory against, loss rather, to Mississippi State. It's 4 for 22 shooting in that ball game, and Renee Ladner feels like the shoulder maybe had something to do with it a little bit. Maybe as much mentally as it did physically.
And she may be getting more comfortable wearing a brace. Sometimes when you just add that extra dimension of another thing on your body, it throws off your rhythm.
Meredith Mitchell with the basket. Georgia leads by 4. Mitchell played all 40 minutes in the game against Kentucky. Georgia used only 7 players against the very deep Wildcats and had a 10-point lead on them in the second half before Kentucky came back and beat them in Athens.
And when Kentucky can throw wave after wave of fresh bodies from the bench at you, and again, Georgia playing with a thin bench, the fatigue factor came into play.
Meredith Mitchell brings it up the floor for Georgia. Nikki Bird is yet to touch the ball for Ole Miss, and that's the first miss for Georgia. Anne-Marie Armstrong chases it down in the corner. Marborough knocks it out of her hands. It's going to be Georgia's ball. You see Nikki Bird over here. She's talking to Jenna Cross, the official. She's saying, every time they're holding me.
Sometimes that's the only way you can stop a post player that's as good as Nikki Bird. Just make it difficult for her to move around. Georgia, again, knocking down another shot. They're getting a healthy boost here early going as Ole Miss is struggling to find their offensive rhythm.
That was Kalita Miller with the 3. That's the first 3 for the Bulldogs. They've opened the game 4-5 shooting. On the opposite end of that spectrum, Ole Miss is 1 for 5, continuing the troubles they had on Thursday night here in this building. Air ball, 1 for 6 now. That was Hamath with the miss. Hamath had a poor game against Mississippi State after a career-high 15 the game before against Alabama. Erica Ford misses the layup, and Nikki Bird can't handle the rebound. Has it bounce off her hands and out of bounds.
Georgia aggressively attacking the basket, and that's the difference we're seeing at both ends of the floor. Georgia going to the basket, attacking it, creating. Ole Miss passing around the perimeter of that zone. They're not getting to the interior. They're not collapsing the defense.
Amber Singletary and Maggie McFerrin check in for Ole Miss. And Georgia gets another basket. Erica Ford, and every player for Georgia has scored. All 5 starters have scored here in the opening 4 minutes of this ball game, we open the contest talking about balanced scoring, and here's a great example. Georgia's got a basket from every one of their starters here, less than 4 minutes into the game.
And again, it's looking at that experience in the junior class as the leaders in Jasmine Hassel and Anne-Marie Armstrong, but Miller's just a sophomore, Ford is a freshman, and they are also getting consistent. They're learning how to be successful, and it's filling the roles, and that's how you become successful as a group.
Erica Ford scored 17 in their loss against Kentucky in her first SEC start on Thursday night. But they are really high on her.
Absolutely. Andy Landers couldn't sing her praises enough, that she brings a lot of energy on both ends of the floor.
Georgia 5 for 7, Ole Miss 1 for 6. That's going to have to change for Ole Miss to have a shot in this game. Pass deflected by Kalita Miller, and Georgia comes away with the steal.
Georgia plays very wide, even in their zone. Those hands are out. They're very active.
Meredith Mitchell is able to save it for the Bulldogs. Wild cross-court pass. Kalita Miller saves it and hits the three. Georgia red hot, 6 for 7, 2 for 2 on their threes to open the game.
Kalita Miller accounts for 43% of the team's three-pointers. She's starting out red hot in this ball game.
Inside to Nikki Bird. That's the first time they've been able to get it into the post. McFarland shoots it wild off the backboard and off of Bird's hands. It'll be Georgia's ball when we get back. 14th ranked Georgia off to a great start here in Oxford, Mississippi. Kalita Miller has knocked down a couple of threes, and Georgia has a 12-point lead. Fourteenth ranked Georgia off to a great start here today in Oxford, leading Ole Miss 14-2 while you watch today's game on CSS. You can also follow it on Twitter. You can follow me at Matt_Stewart CSS. You can follow the network for programming updates at CSS Sports, and you can also find us on Facebook. Georgia on a 10-0 run over the last 2:11 of this ball game. All 5 starters have scored. Kalita Miller has hit her first 2 3-pointers, and she's improved her three-point shooting percentage from 32% to 37.5% here in her sophomore season compared to her freshman year.
And that's shot selection. That's understanding the pace of the game and how to be prepared to take that shot. When you catch and shoot, much better off, less room for error.
Kalita Miller again gets it in the corner. 3 on the shot clock. Meredith Mitchell beats the horn and banks it in.
A lot of poise by Meredith Mitchell. She's actually a graduate student, graduated in December and is playing out the end of her career. She fills her role well. She understands the game, understands how to work within Andy Lander's system.
59 out of 59 for Andy Landers. Of the 59 players that have completed their 4 years of eligibility, all have graduated. Erica Ford misses the layup. Anne-Marie Armstrong there for the putback.
Anne-Marie Armstrong, again, that do-everything player. She has the fundamentals, strong on the follow-up.
I've said this before. She reminds me a lot of Chandler Parsons, the SEC Player of the Year for the Florida Gators last year, and that she's not exactly alike Chandler in her style of play, but like Chandler Parsons, there are no zeros in her line score. She fills up the box score. She scores. She gets rebounds. She has assists. She gets steals. She blocks shots. There's nothing that she does not do.
And one of the things Andy had said about her is that she came on campus with a lot of potential. They knew that she had potential to be an outstanding athlete there. But like a lot of young players, and she came from a small school where she didn't really have to work that hard to be outstanding. And now she is an outstanding all-around ball player.
In off the bench, Danielle Bennett takes a three-point shot and misses it. Only the third miss for Georgia from the floor in the first 6 minutes of this game. Maggie McFerrin is called for the foul. Anne-Marie Armstrong.
Defensive rebounding opportunity for Ole Miss. Again, they've got to find a way to get the ball to the inside. You've got a player on the interior with great hands. Once she gets the ball, she's very difficult to stop from scoring, but you've got to get it to her, and you've got to get it to her in a position where she can score.
And that's also been a problem for Ole Miss and their very young team. 9 freshmen and sophomores on this combined on this Ole Miss squad. And part of the problem with these young players is not getting the ball to Nikki Bird at the right time when she could score it. Her numbers have been great. Renee Ladner believes they could be even better if the freshman would get her the ball when she's ready to score, not taking an extra dribble, not waiting a half second to get her that ball.
And we're seeing her, and she talked about it, she's coaching every possession, and you have to do that with young teams. They don't have the experience to kind of work through the game in every moment. This coaching staff for Ole Miss is coaching every possession, every play, and that takes a lot of energy as well from the entire coaching staff. Anne-Marie
Armstrong with great hustle is able to beat Fallaroo to the ball and then throw it back off of her leg, so Georgia gets the ball on the baseline.
You see just a great hustle play, ball careening out. Good look at Anne-Marie Armstrong. Tall, lanky. Talked about having guard skills, and we've seen a lot of that, but she plays down in the post defensively. Can come out and extend that defense with that long wingspan.
Foul's called on Georgia. Tamika Willis picks up her first. McFarland off the inbounds. Ole Miss keeps it alive. Fallaroo came up with the loose ball. And then Singletary had her shot blocked from behind.
Now, Ole Miss needs to do more of that. It was a nice job of seeing a lane, attacking the basket, being aggressive. And if Ole Miss can continue to do that, shift that defense, and make them loosen up on the interior, they're going to be able to get Bird some touches.
I don't know what Renee Ladner does about the fact that they have opened the game 1 for 10 shooting and 0 for 4 on their three-pointers. But, I mean, it's obvious they need to get the ball to Nikki Bird. That's easier said than done because Georgia also knows that they need to get the ball to Nikki Bird, and they're not going to let that happen if they can.
And as long as Ole Miss is having trouble from the perimeter. Cannot knock those shots down. It's a lot easier to pack it in. Georgia, they're playing a great zone defense. They're packing down when they need to, but they're also extending and playing man-to-man concepts wherever that ball is.
Nikki Bird being tended to at the end of the bench. Looks like they've got some tape on her right arm that they're cutting off right now. Maybe they're going to retape that, so things will be even more difficult for Ole Miss with Nikki Bird on the bench. But here's one of the things. I mean, in order to a good three-point shooting team usually plays inside out. Being able to get the ball inside opens up the outside, and Ole Miss has not been able to do that yet. And now it's going to be even more difficult with no Nikki Bird in there occupying the low post.
Georgia continuing to pack it down in. They're letting the guards chase on the perimeter, but they are packing to the inside.
Fowleroo the miss, and Anne-Marie Armstrong grabs the rebound for Georgia. Armstrong. Rebound on the backside. Nobody boxed out Kalita Miller, and she has 8. 18-point lead for Georgia.
Ole Miss continuing to go through the middle of the zone with cutters. And on this turnover, they're not doing a very good job of taking care of the ball, and Georgia's simply making them pay for it.
What a spectacular play by Anne-Marie Armstrong. If we can pick that up from the steal, she started that play by deflecting the pass, and then she gets it back on the break and reverses it in for a layup.
It just shows the total package and the athleticism. She gets out ahead of the defense, good pass ahead, and then the nice reverse layup. It's a catch and move under the basket. She is really a stellar athlete and unassuming. You don't see that when she walks on the floor and saying, oh, she's solidly pretty average. She is outstanding. She's
really just now starting to play up to the potential that Andy Landers believed that she had when he signed her out of Wesleyan in Norcross, Georgia. In the past, Andy believes her biggest problem, her biggest obstacle was focus, because she was a three-sport star in high school. She would go from volleyball and then to basketball and then to the high jump and track, and she never totally devoted and focused on basketball. Once she's been able to do that, her game has elevated to another level. Another steal for Georgia as Kalita Miller knocks it away, but then Singletary is able to get it back for the Rebels.
Rebels trying to create with a little bit of energy coming in out of that timeout. Perhaps a little more aggressive on the offensive end.
And a traveling is the call against Ole Miss. I never heard a whistle, but I guess there was one and I just missed it. Georgia with a 22-2 lead on Ole Miss here. 8.5 minutes into the ball game of the Tad Pad. Kalita Miller off to a great start here for the Lady Bulldogs. She's hit 2 3-pointers already as Georgia leads by 20.
And Kalita Miller has the ability to score quickly and in bunches. And we're seeing just that. She gets to the basket, but she can knock down those long balls. So difficult to defend. And just as a sophomore, she's really starting to come into her own for the Bulldogs.
Miller and Armstrong have combined 6 for 9 from the floor, 14 points. And Anne-Marie Armstrong already 3 rebounds, 2 steals, and 1 assist. She's the kind of player that could get herself a triple-double.
Oh, absolutely.
Maybe a quadruple-double.
Ole Miss came out of the timeout, extending the defense, trying to put a little bit of pressure on Georgia, who didn't really have any trouble handling it, but it did eat up some shot clock.
Erica Ford, bottom of the basket. Georgia has opened 3 for 6 on their threes. Meantime, Ole Miss has gone 6.5 minutes without a field goal. And of course, they have only one in 9 minutes of play. Latasha Laws the miss. Meredith Mitchell the rebound. Kalita Miller out and running for Georgia.
Last couple of trips for Ole Miss, they have tried to get to the basket. They have tried to attack the rim a little more. This young team needs to understand, a team like Georgia, you're going to have to go to them. You're going to have to take it at them. You cannot be passive, and you cannot be playing on your heels against them.
Lots of contact, and no foul is called. It is going to be Ole Miss's ball as Georgia touched it last.
Number 31, Hammond returns to the game for the Rebels.
Anne-Marie Armstrong back in for Georgia. Georgia's been a streaky team. Most of it, all of it pretty much good. They've had 3 4-game winning streaks and 1 3-game winning streak, and Georgia has not lost consecutive games all season long. Nine and a half minutes in, Georgia with a 23-point lead.
Ball getting to the inside for Ole Miss. You've got to be careful of all those double downs, but they were able to get inside and come back out. Just one pass too many.
Ahead to Kalita Miller, got a man on the wing. Anne-Marie Armstrong. Beautifully executed except for the finish. McFarland. Ole Miss has missed their first 5 3-point attempts. Kalita Miller has hit 2 herself. I thought that one was going to find the bottom of the net, too.
Georgia likes to push in transition, and they'll take shots. If it's an open shot, they'll put it up. And you can see that with Miller. Just taking that shot out of the transition. They're able to track down the rebound, have another opportunity